What's going on? Alternate. Did you vote for Trump?
Yes. Oh, you got to see that
All
shit.
right, man. How old are you?
30.
30. You're 30 years old. What year were you born in?
95.
95. Okay. So why did you vote for the worst president of your life?
I'll give you a short list here. To get out of the Paris Climate Accord, to get out of the WHO, the male and female executive order, transgender out of the military, keep men out of women's sports, protecting youth from mutilation, border security and deportation, making art tales the T word, the creation of Doge, reinstating service members after the vax mandate when they got fired because they refused to take the vaccine, and removal of flags of government buildings that is not the American flag. I mean, that's just a short list. I mean, no tax on tips, no tax on um overtime and all. I'm pretty sure you know the whole list by now.
Okay. So you support Donald Trump's executive order on males and females, right?
Yes,
Okay. So do you
to
like?
to make that only recognizable,
So
make
I
those
have a
two the
question. Do
only
you
recognizable.
self-identify as a female?
So I already know the argument that you're trying to lend to, and from DNA, you are a male, even though you have not formed. So I already know the argument that you're trying to bring up.
Okay. So the argument that I want to bring up here is the fact that under Donald Trump's executive order, you're a female, and the reason why I say that is because he defines person to be
You
started
are
in.
not. That
It,
that is incorrect.
it is because the language of the executive order does not predicate the definition of male and female predicated on like
Like I
gender.
said, I already know the argument that you're making, and that is incorrect.
Okay. Well, if you know the argument that I was making, then you know that you're wrong because the executive order doesn't define male or female starting at the moment of conception based upon chromosomes or DNA, but rather sex
It does
characteristics.
actually.
And there's
It
only
does.
and there's only a differentiation in the sex characteristics beginning at about 5 to 7 weeks with the activation of the SRY gene.
But you know what? Let's change gears here real quick and let's talk about the border because that's actually one of the main reasons I voted. I live in New York and I got to see the buses come in and I got to see Randall's Island. I got to see Floyd Bennett Field. I actually witnessed it myself because I live here and I go around the boroughs doing work. So I seen my city go from 2020 to 2024, all of these people flooding in from Texas to New York City, and I got tired of it. I looked at it, I looked at it, and I looked at it, and all of these people kept flooding in so much that all these little tents started sprouting up because they had no space no more. It was a humanitarian problem. It was a logistics problem. It wasn't even about people coming to the border and trying to get a better life. It was about too many coming in.
Okay, it's
And
about
as
too many
soon
individuals
as
coming in.
soon
So do you think that we
as
should
soon
limit?
hold on, as soon as I voted for Trump, a week later, not even a few days later, all of this stuff starts getting dismantled. I already got what I voted for.
So
So
I want to clarify. I'm pretty sure that like overcrowding existing in New York City doesn't have much to do with migration, and rather just to do with the fact that like I'm pretty sure there's like one human to every like 3 feet there, some crazy shit like that, which is just because it's a massive fucking metropolitan area. Okay, and then secondarily, I kind of doubt the validity of your argument at all. If you're saying that this was dismantled and stopped 3 days after his inauguration before he started any deportation devices. So I doubt the validity of your argument there. But I do want to ask you a question. All right, if you think that we should limit migration to prevent overcrowding, do you think that we should limit birth rates to prevent overcrowding?
so you're saying so you're talking about the birthright citizenship that Trump is trying to take away?
No, birth rates. Should we limit birth rates of
Birth rates.
citizens to prevent overcrowding?
Well, that's kind of the issue here. We're Americans. People coming through the border through a broken fence is the issue here. And I would like to say that there's two different groups here. There's people that are trying to go through the port of entry, trying to seek asylum, and then there's people that are literally going through a broken fence. Do you agree that going through a broken fence is bad?
Do I think that undocumented migration to America is bad? Actually, no, I don't. I'm pretty radical, man. Why is undocumented migration bad?
I think migration itself is a good thing. I think immigrants is a good thing. What I think is bad
Facts.
is the house analogy. If you're going to go through the front door, you're going to be going through a proper way to go through a house rather than trying to break through the window. Does that make sense?
Okay, well, I think what the analogy you just gave me intends to achieve is that like people should be using legal ports of entry, and I agree with that sentiment. But I think the culpability for people not using illegal ports of entry right now doesn't fall on the backs of the undocumented migrants, but it rather falls in our government. Our government has neglected the legal processes of migration for essentially all of modern American history. And whenever they've tried to do anything about it, it's been shot down, such as how Donald Trump torpedoed the bipartisan border bill under the Biden Harris administration. So when I observe this issue of undocumented migration into America, because the legal means of entry take 9 years, when we could have passed policy at any point in the last 25
So
years to significantly reduce that time, I blame our government. But I do want to ask
do
you a
you,
question about undocumented migrants. It's my turn. Name one way that undocumented migrants in America that have not committed violent crimes hurt you, me, America, or any American citizen.
well, on a basis, they take up space. That's one.
They take up space.
Just like I explained earlier, with them overflooding their own tent and having to create their own. The people hiring them, for example, whether or not you agree that they should be hired or not, it doesn't really matter because it's illegal anyway. You can't be hiring people that are undocumented and
Okay,
off the books.
let's just stay clear here. So they take up space, and then something about working,
Yes, they take jobs.
take jobs. Anything else?
Well, like you said, if it wasn't for the crime, it's pretty much
Okay,
two of the
that's
huge
all.
main
That's all. They
reasons.
take space and they take jobs. So first of all, do you hurt America because you take space?
I'm an American. That's the difference.
Okay, so you don't hurt America because you take space, but they hurt America because they take space. And the difference is that you're an American and they're not an American. Okay.
It's the
Well,
same thing with the
if you
UK.
just
If
allow
I
me to
go into
finish,
the
I'm still
UK
speaking.
undocumented, the same thing will
If I'm
happen.
not done speaking, then it's not your turn to talk. I thought that you
Sorry,
like
go
to
ahead.
respect rules and boundaries.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if you think the difference insofar as why your space taking doesn't hurt America, yet an undocumented migrants does, is because you're an American and they're not an American. Well, all that you're telling me here is it's not the fact that they hurt America by quote unquote taking space, it's that they hurt America by not being an American. Right? Right? So in other words, you're saying that undocumented migrants hurt America by not being an American. And I just think that's a very arbitrary xenophobic point that you'd have a really tough time justifying. Now, to move on to your second point, right? You said that they hurt America by taking jobs. What happens when an undocumented migrant, quote unquote, takes a job? They become a productive provider into the American economy, paying taxes, growing the GDP, advocating for a higher quality of life for everyone. So I think it's incredibly redundant, contorted, and backwards to say that undocumented migrants are hurting America by paying $95.7 billion in tax on the federal, state, and local level per year and adding close to $1.7 trillion to the economy in the next 10 years.
The problem is that there's two groups of people. There is a deli on the corner that does not hire that, and there is a deli on the corner that does. So one gives jobs to Americans and one gives jobs to people who are not American.
Okay,
And again,
that's another one of those sentences that you've said that makes no sense. If I'm being honest, that's the second time you've done this, sir. I'm
I,
chastising you for
I
making
think
no
I think
sense.
the great schism here is that we look at this in the lens as pro-America. I'm pro-America and I'm pro-American.
Wait, would you say
Like
part of being
America
pro-America?
first.
Wait. Yeah. I think that supporting a system of migration, allowing anybody to become a citizen or a resident if they haven't committed a violent crime, puts America first because it's what is best for the American economy and humanitarian needs. Like, unironically, like, since when did it become pro-America to be like, let's do this mass deportation and lose $100 billion in government revenue every single year and lose GDP growth in the context of $1 trillion in the next 10 years? Like, I
To,
guess
to
it's
make
pro-America to like advocate for destroying the American economy,
to make
lowering
my
median
point very
wages,
to make my
and
point very
decreasing the
clear.
quality of life, right?
To make my point very clear, I am pro-immigration. What I am not is going around the process properly. So I point to videos like the bulldozer lifting the fence and then massive amounts of people flooding through that fence. I view that as the core problem here. Now, if you want to argue that people should or shouldn't be here, I would love for
So
people to be
I'm
here.
gonna go ahead
I
and just
want
reiterate
people
my
to
argument
come
because
here.
I've already responded to this. I blame that problem on the American government, and I don't think the effective way to solve that problem is through mass deportation because it hurts the economy and humanitarian concerns that I know you could give a fuck less about.
Well, to change gears here, you know, since we're not getting anywhere,